Time to jump into a great conversation around regenerative ag. We've had more requests for this topic on sustainable agriculture, farming, whether it is in crops or livestock. So pleasure to have our guest with us today, Mitchell Hora, 7th generation Iowa farmer, founder of Continuum Ag. He started that in 2015 to help farmers quantify and improve their soil health. The company's top soil tool helps farmers garner agronomic insights. So since launching Topsoil in 2020, Continuum Ag has amassed a footprint of over 36 states. Corey, what a pleasure to have Mitchell here to join us on the podcast.
I'm excited, guys. This is my first Farm Progress show.
Really?
And oh yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, going to school right down the road for 4 years, like we had 2 shows, but never came over. I don't know, we were busy, drinking beer or something like that.
Right.
So never made it over, but I'm so excited. I've been here for now like 6 minutes, and I'm revved. I'm ready to rock and roll.
If I had to put a face on the Farm Progress show, it would be yours.
No, not mine. Not mine. It's going to be now. Maybe next year, I'll get on the banner or something like that.
Isn't there like a curse for the Madden football game that if your face is on
That's
the
true,
game?
That's true. Maybe we don't want the Farm Progress curse. Yeah.
Maybe the 2024 tickets.
He's going to blow out his ACL.
That would be bad. Good thing I don't pull very many soil samples anymore.
There you go.
That's fine. I just got to, as long as it's my left leg, because my right one to push the gas pedal on my truck, that one's important.
Yeah.
Left leg, pretty disposable at this point.
Just like a peg.
Yeah.
So you put a lot of miles on your truck, is what it sounds like.
We put a lot of miles on the truck, yeah. Running around here this week. This one's a little quieter week. I'm only on the road here tonight, but I fly to the Netherlands on Saturday. I'm over in Amsterdam and over in the Netherlands all next week, speaking at a conference over there. We made the top 5 of some fancy like RegenAg international conference thingy. So I was like, this is probably a complete scam, but it sounds pretty awesome.
Didn't we get asked to go to the Netherlands for a sheep conference?
They wanted us to talk about the profitability of sheep. But I missed that in the introduction. Continuum Ag also is in 14 different countries. So pretty big deal there. So I tried to introduce you, but always the guest does better. So what's your elevator speech here? Who is Mitchell Hora?
No, you guys nailed it. I'm 7th generation on my family's farm. My daughter is the 8th generation. She's 9 months old. We've farmed down in Washington County, about 700 acres, so relatively, average or even slightly kind of, below average kind of for our commodity farming system. And because of that, we've been really focused on fine-tuning our cost of production and really dialing in, trying to diversify, trying to focus on profit, like you guys always talk about.
Yeah.
It's got to be profitable, and to only have 700 acres, we got to get pretty creative to be able to do it. So we started using no-till in 1978.
Wow.
We've been using cover crop since 2013. Our rotation here this year is mostly corn and soybeans, but we've got a bunch of cereal rye that we've been growing as well. There's our 4th year relay cropping with cereal rye. And I've got some open pollinated corn this year too. So direct to consumer, food grade corn, a red corn and a yellow corn from my cyclones.
Yeah. Nice.
And so trying that, we've done some winter wheat, we've done malt barley, we've done mustard, just trying to think more creatively and get outside of the box of the conventional farming system that we're in. Look at new opportunities to drive new revenue streams coming to the operation. But we've been able to cut our fertilizer by about 50%, our pesticides by 75%, really trying to hone in on our cost of production while also opening up new revenue streams coming in.
Holy cow. How do you have time for all that?
No, so I don't get to spend a whole lot of time on the farm. Dad's out on the farm. My parents are on the farm full time. And Dad's got some other boards and stuff that he sits on as well. But Dad manages the farm. I just make it tougher for him and bring him all these wild ideas, learning from guys at conferences or on social media. But most of my time is with Continuum Ag. As you guys stated, I founded that in 2015 while I was just down the road here in Ames going to school. And now we're at 23 employees now.
Wow.
And so covering a pretty good territory, like you said. We just hit 820,000 acres the other day. So really expanding that out. And the main focus there is that if we're going to tell our story in terms of sustainable agriculture, if we're going to define regenerative ag, if we're going to really hone in on our carbon footprint or other environmental outcomes, we got to have the data to be able to do it. And that's what we're able to provide with Continuum Ag and with our Topsoil tool is the data to focus on farming smarter with better agronomy and a regenerative mindset, but also package this data so that way we can really share our story and hopefully, again, profit from that story and from the contribution that we're making to the world.
Regenerative is such a buzzword.
Yeah.
It feels like. I don't know that I heard it before 5 years ago. What is your definition of regenerative?
Yeah. My definition of regenerative ag is that it's a continual journey, a continual implementation of the principles of soil health. So to me, it boils down to you're implementing those principles, which are maintain armor on the soil, minimize disturbance, both chemical and physical, maintain a living root, foster as much diversity into the system as we can, integrate livestock wherever possible, and do all this within the context of your operation. So it's that continual journey, continual implementation of those principles. If you're going along that path, I believe you are going down the regenerative route, and contributing to building up that soil. And by building up soil, we can farm smarter. You can reduce your need for synthetic fertilizer. You can capture carbon. You can improve water quality. You can improve nutrient density. So many positive outcomes, but it's all boils back to mimicking Mother Nature, mimicking the natural, living, dynamic system. And if you're continuing to go along that journey, I believe you're farming in a regenerative manner.
So, Corey, what's your definition of regenerative ag?
What was going through my mind when he was saying that was another company that we work with, BW Fusion. They always talk about the fence row.
Yep.
Right? Like if you go to your fence row and you dig that up, it's untouched. It's always had grass there, not very much fertilizer or chemicals usage, and you go and you can just smell it.
Oh, yeah.
You can smell it when you dig into it. So that's probably my definition is the fence row.
Yeah, and we don't have Dave here with us, and I know when you mentioned that you have to use data in order to do this, he'd have just lit up and said, "Data's the currency of agriculture." That's
currency
something
of the internet.
Well, it's in agriculture. You have to have it, and I think one of the interesting parts of what you do at Continuum Ag is you've developed a consulting arm, and that's really how you've lined up these 820,000 acres, and I think that's industry leading. So what was the brainchild behind becoming a consultant, and why did you see that need?
Yeah, it's a good question. And real quick, though, on your fence line deal, the best thing that I do when I go visit farms, and especially we're getting some very large corporate farm, like not corporate farms, but very large family farms and like big operations. The best thing that I do when I go to those farms is take a shovelful of the soil from within their field versus a shovelful on the undisturbed native area in the fence line or in a tree patch or something like that. And you show them the difference, and you can see the difference, you can feel it, you can smell the difference. That is the best thing. I love data, but nothing beats a good old shovel. So I love that you went there. But actually, Continuum Ag started as a consulting company.
Yeah.
My plan when I was at Iowa State was, I didn't really have one, number one, but the original plan was I had this soil health consulting company. I majored in agronomy and in ag system technology. I was going to consult with farmers mostly in southeast Iowa. I added on to the family farm. I bought a little 40-acre chunk right after graduation. I was going to do consulting small scale, have a couple $100,000 a year company, maybe an employee or two, farm, and die. That was my plan. And then the opportunity came to better deliver services to our customers, and there wasn't software out there to map out the Haney test or to really use zones or to utilize machine learning type technologies to tie together sustainable agriculture with precision agriculture. So we built our own software, and that opened me up to, okay, well, I need some capital, and we got some investors, and we've gone that route here just a little bit. And we found some amazing software developers. I've got a PhD developer that leads the charge, and we've got a team of 9 software developers in India. I've got a software designer out of LA. People all over the place to be able to really bring these ideas here from small town Iowa to scale. And all it's been is just solving a problem the next phase up. So the consulting company was solving a problem for our farm. Then it was I needed to solve a problem for my consulting company to deliver some basic value, the maps. Well, I need the software to do that. Well, other consultants need software too. Oh, well, this carbon space, this regenerative ag sustainability space, they need data. They need to prove what we're doing here too. They need software. So it's just continued to go up the ladder really. And now here we are today, with continuing to add acres all over the world. And now looking at shifting business models, though, to really be able to make it work and scale the unscalable, which is a regenerative consulting company that's just tech first.
Wow, that's kind of what this podcast does. We're not solving the next level up. We're more responding to the next guest's question or topic or whichever it is. But it's a way to get a roadmap when you don't have one.
Yeah. No, on the Fieldwork podcast, Zach and I and Tara, we're supposed to have a script and all that. Shoot, I've never read a single one of those scripts. And they've kept me on for 4 seasons, and it sounds like we're going to do another one. So winging it has definitely worked out for me pretty well so far.
We've got 2 pages of paper in front of us, and I haven't read anything except for the intro off of this as well. We're just curious about everything that is put together. We do have a couple of questions that are being texted in that we'll get to here in a second. But going back to this, you talked about the consulting side, and you're working on improving profitability, and that's what Farm for Profit is all about. So let's talk about a couple of low-hanging fruit or key things that if someone asks you a question, they just met you, that you hit first. What are your first 2 easy ways to increase profitability?
Number one, so my angle, of course, is on going down this regenerative route. So usually people are coming to me asking about cover crops and asking about how to get started with cover crops. And the easiest way to make that profitable is cereal rye, a head of soybeans, a light rate of rye. There's plenty of cost share out there. You can cut back on your pesticides in year 1. You can cut back on your fertilizer in year 1. You can hopefully improve the actual yield on those soybeans in year 1 by planting green and letting the soybeans and the rye work together and be profitable right away using that. So that's one of them. Number 2, and probably the actual answer here, is utilize the Haney test to better understand the fertility and better understand what's actually going on in your soil, because there's a pool of nutrients in the organic form that we've never really accounted for before with our traditional soil testing. Mm-hmm. And we looked at all of our customers that are on varying levels of implementing regenerative systems and varying levels of decent soil health. And we ran all their fertilizer recommendations looking only at the inorganic nutrients in the soil versus the total nutrients in the soil, the organic and inorganic. And the fertilizer savings between those two, with today's fertilizer prices, ended up saving our customers an average of $112.42 per acre in fertilizer costs. With today's fertilizer being through the roof and not going to go down anytime soon, having the best data possible to fine-tune your fertilizer management is huge.
Yeah.
Now, do I always tell them, like, hey, you should actually cut back by $112 an acre? No, that's probably a little aggressive. And with $7 corn, we don't want to lose yield.
Yep, don't want to short it.
So we got to balance that. But hey, can we cut back by $20 or $40 or $60 per acre and still maintain amazing yield? Absolutely. And as we implement this regenerative system, more of those nutrients are in the organic form, and you can cut back as more of the nutrients are there in a biological system. And on our farm, that's resulted in 50% reduction in our synthetic fertilizer and massive dollars back into our pocket. So big opportunity there, I think, to really fine-tune your use of data, fine-tune fertilizer management, and continue to focus on driving yield.
So am I right in saying the Haney test is testing what's plant available?
That's right. That's the key thing on how I think about it. So a traditional analysis kind of looks at your soil's intermediate assets, what should come available. It uses a really strong acid, and then the university, return to fertilizer recommendations have been kind of built around that number. The Haney test shows you what's actually available to that plant right now, because the plant still needs nutrients. And then we show what's available, and all you have to do is fill in the gap between the total need versus what's available, fill in the gap. And because that's what the plant actually cares about, is what nutrients are actually available to it that it can use, and the more nutrients we can make available to that plant, the less we have to spend on synthetic inputs.
So a typical soil sample plan for a conventional farm would probably be every 4 years, 2.5, 5 acre grid, something like that. Yep. What are we changing up?
Yeah, so I like using zones, and because it's a little bit more cost effective to be able to do it that way. We still typically charge about $10 an acre to do zone-based Haney sampling, so it's very competitive to a traditional grid analysis, but I like using zones because we can utilize now machine learning, we can utilize big data to better assess the spatial variability of those fields. Because Mother Nature doesn't work in a straight line. And it blows my mind that we're still attempting to farm using only math.
So how do you identify your zones?
So we utilize, so machine learning, looking at the spatial variance in whatever layers we put into the calculation. for anywhere in the U.S. for free and basically instantly. We can utilize soil type, we can utilize and productivity indexes, water indexes, and we can utilize slope and elevation to basically fine-tune the GIS capability, because those soil types were not put together with good GPS. Okay?
Right.
They have basic inherent soil properties, but we can basically create a souped-up soil type map combining together the soil type with the satellite imagery to create a better zone assessment. If we have yield data, if we have Veris data, if we have other sensors, if we have old soil data, all that can be tied in, but at a bare minimum, at least to be able to see what type of variability do we already have out there, and then pull the samples to ground truth.
And how often?
I like doing it once every other year or so, because I believe you can really fine-tune your fertilizer management with better data. The more data you collect, the more you can change and the more you can adjust. So, but usually every other year I think is plenty. Now on our own farm, we're going at least every year on our zones. And we've actually, in research trials on cover crop versus no cover crop trials for the most part, we've been doing weekly soil testing for the last 6 years with the Haney test. Okay, so I have weekly Haney data from the same flag GPS spot over and over and over for 6 years. Crazy amounts of data. And in my talk here later today, I'm going to show a little bit of some of our data trends that we've been seeing over time. Now, I do not recommend doing weekly Haney testing. The reason why I've been doing it at that intense level is that with the Haney test and with regenerative agriculture, we're looking at the soil as a living, dynamic system. And it changes all the time. It changes more rapidly than weekly, that's for sure. It changes every couple minutes, every hour for sure. These parameters are changing, biological activity, the amount of liquid carbon, the nutrient cycling, it's changing all the time. And in order for me to best make a recommendation or to define our algorithms around a once a year or once every couple year analysis, I need to know what's happening in that soil before and after I pull that sample to best fine tune the algorithms and make a variable rate fertilizer recommendation, knowing what already happened and what will happen.
Right, you have to go to an extreme, Corey, to push the limits, because you may learn something, but if not, it's a baseline for what you can compare your every other year frequency to. So we know, because of the listener base that we have, that there is a big difference between everybody's belief on tillage practice, farming practice, and it seems like it's one of those that a lot of our listeners and those connections of ours get pretty passionate about their practice. One of the listener questions sitting here in the audience is, do you have any examples of a producer that started following your practices, started following your consulting, but then went back to what they were originally doing, and why would they have done that?
That's an interesting question. I'm trying to think.
First, have you had anybody?
I don't know if I have any that have gone backwards.
Okay. Maybe why would somebody refuse to follow your guidance?
So
I can tell you right now, the kid is probably trying to do what he's doing, and the father tries it for a year or two and then pushes back.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely can be part of it. I mean, I think at least the growers that we've been really working with, they've been able to stick with it. And typically how we start is we say, hey, start small, give us a small acreage, and let's get started there. But also, you're not going to really hit a home run in year one. Mm-hmm. You're going to see changes over time. It's going to take a little bit, and after you're a couple years in, you're really seeing changes happen, and then you can keep accelerating. And I just see over and over that I believe that more farmers are going to go this route, to use less tillage, to have cover crops, to utilize better data, to go this more regenerative route. I believe more people are going to do it just because it really is better and it really puts more dollars back to your bottom line. Like, I'm not like hey, we got to go save the whales with regenerative ag. Like, that is not why I'm doing this. I'm saying, guys, this is just more profitable and it's just better for your family farm and better for your soil. Now, one of the things that I'd really like to do, though, is with these farmers, gather some quick year-over-year data with the Haney test. So there's some of those fields where we will sample them annually just to get a quick base hit. Because some of these practices, especially if you're making only a small baby step, you're not going to see insane changes in 1 year. but you can improve your biological activity in 1 year. You can get more liquid carbon down into the ground, more carbon drawdown, more liquid water extractable organic carbon. That can happen in 1 year. You can improve your pesticide management in 1 year. You can improve your aggregate stability in 1 year. There's a lot now to really build these things up and make them long-term and get to a new equilibrium in your soil. Yeah, that's going to take 4, 5, 6 years, but you can absolutely get some baby steps in year one. And typically when we show those quick base hits, people will add new acres even right away in that second year.
So maybe piggybacking on that question, what are some of the things that people maybe stub their toe on coming into the program?
A bunch of people have stubbed their toe. I mean, I think one of the biggest issues is that there's a lot of conflicting messages in this space. And I try to educate and not just say you should, but speak from experience and speak from what I've seen work, what I've seen hasn't worked, speak from our own farm where we're trying all kinds of stuff and we've really screwed things up on our own farm. Our first year using cover crops, we lost $100 an acre in year one. Like, we really stubbed our toe, and I want to make darn sure that none of my customers are going to have a $100 an acre loss. Like, that is not good. And what we screwed up was that we didn't understand that soil life. We didn't understand the carbon to nitrogen ratio. We didn't understand that soil is alive and that we need to provide it a balanced food. What we did was we threw out a whole pile of cereal rye ahead of corn, planted green, and didn't get it killed correctly. We didn't change the fertilizer program, didn't change the planter setup, didn't change anything, and it was a complete disaster.
You learned a lot.
We learned a lot.
But it was a disaster.
It was a disaster. That corn made $2.45, so we were still fine.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
That's a disaster.
It was a complete disaster. It looked awful, but we still lost $100 because we did trials, of course, and the check strip was $2.65. And at this time, a couple years ago, with the expenses and with the yield loss, it was about $100 an acre loss. One of the biggest things, though, that I think farmers should be doing, again, is light rates of cereal rye ahead of soybeans. That's an easier baby step. It's much easier to make it really work. I always recommend cover crop ahead of corn as well, but use really light rates, try to get some diversity into that. Plant green. My buddies in my alma mater down the road still keep saying terminate the cover crop like as soon as it starts getting green. I think that is a complete waste of money, because what the heck good did it do for you? But it is the risk adverse answer. I know why they're saying it, and that's fine. But if you want to make this work, you've got to utilize these tools as an offensive management program. Do not just go into this looking at it as defense. It's got to pay the bills. It's got to make us more profitable, or else what are we doing it for? I mean, sustainability is great, but sustainability only matters if the farm is economically sustainable, and that has got to be our main focus. And then the carbon outcomes, soil health, the water quality, all these great environmental things, those will come as we focus on